What is going on, guys? NHL Player Performance Puck U is back. It is Wednesday, June 4th. What a time to be alive. We got game one tonight. Les, has it not felt like there's been no hockey for the last month? The wait is over, brother. How we doing today?
Finally, man, I don't know why they do that. I get why they do it, but I don't get why they do it because it's just too fucking long in between. Like the game one should have played 2 days ago, in my opinion. But we're pushing almost 6 days. I think it's day 6 now of the hype and the whole escapade. I get it. It's a Super Bowl of hockey, and we love it. But fuck me, let's get to it. I want to watch some hockey again. Even my wife is like, "So what are we gonna watch?" I don't know. Watch, well, luckily for me, CFL starting tonight, so we got some Canadian football to be watching when there are no games. But
You got the dual TVs all set up, ready to rumble.
Yeah, like I got the cats keeping my blanket warm right now. I'm going to get swamped in early with maybe a big fat bowl of greasy ass popcorn. And you know what? We're going to get locked into this game. I'm pumped. It's going to be a great series.
Yeah, I can't wait for it, man. Before we get to this Stanley Cup rematch, make sure you guys slam that like button. We're going to be taking you through the finals, whether it's 4 games or 7 games, no matter how long it goes. We're going to be right here with you each and every day that there is a game. All right, let's get to it, man. So we all know the story. Stanley Cup rematch from a year ago. Panthers blew a 3-0 series lead. Oilers powered back, steamed by McJesus to force a Game 7. But it was that Bob one lonely walk on the beach that separated the Oilers from hoisting Lord Stanley Cup. The question on everybody's mind, obviously, can the Oilers get it done, or does the Stanley Cup live another year in sunny South Florida? I'll be at the parade, 100% locked in.
With a Jersey fan on, Jersey's jersey on. Wow.
I will not be the only one, I'll tell you that. They're a hell of a
Yeah, I think you will. You will.
All right, let's start with the Cats. These guys dummied their way to the finals. They beat Tampa. They fucking embarrassed Toronto, caused a big shakeup over there. And then they absolutely shit-pumped Carolina. Sergei Bobrovsky, man. I mean, the guy has been an absolute force in the playoffs. He started slow, but, I mean, in the Eastern Conference Finals, this guy dominated with a .938 save percentage. The Oilers are coming in. They've been road warriors this entire playoffs, but now they have home ice for this series for the first time. I mean, after a rough start in Game 1 against the Kings, the Oilers have looked like an absolute wagon of a unit. 12-4 overall in the playoffs. Took care of the Kings in 6, Vegas in 5, Dallas is 5. Now they have their eye on revenge. Game 1 tonight at Rogers Arena, somewhere in Alberta, Canada. This game will be played at 8 o'clock tonight. How do we see this game shaping out and starting, brother?
I don't know. Because here's the thing, okay? You got the defending champs back at the dance, and you got Edmonton, who was one shot away from being the defending champs last year. You got to think, and I keep going back to that video of Zach Hyman after they lost in Game 7, saying we will be back here, and
he was half right.
Yeah, no, just not you. And you know what? I feel for the guy. That's terrible. That's a big loss for the Edmonton Oilers. Not having him in the lineup. I can't imagine the feelings that he must be feeling, having to set out such an important time. But that you got to think though, like this Edmonton team, it's like getting cheated on and then going back and dating the same girl. It just doesn't make sense. So you're not going to go to
just for that night.
Yeah, you're not going to take that same girl to the same dance a year later. You're going to take a different girl to that fucking dance, and she's going to be hotter. You're going to want her to be, showing up everybody else. So this is one of those spots where it's like, where does the revenge factor kick in? And what better place to kick in than at home for game one?
Well, listen, man, I mean, home ice belongs to Edmonton. I mean, they're 6-1 in their last 7 at Rogers with a whopping plus 16 goal differential through those 7 games. I mean, they're favored here, minus 125. I think it's up to minus 130 on Hard Rock. Puck line at plus 160. Over under, I have it at 6.5. I think I've seen it in other books at 6. Was really hoping for a 5.5. This is, and we've been talking off air a lot, man, like just trying to figure out, like, how does this fucking shape out? I mean, like, you're talking about the revenge factor, right? And we all know that McDavid is that fucking serial killer, right? And how can McDavid lose 2 finals in a row? I mean, guy's got 26 points through the playoffs already, only 6 goals. Draisaitl's behind him with 25 points. He's only got 7 goals. Now, the interesting thing about both of these teams is, you talk a lot about home ice advantage and last change, right? Oh, we could throw anybody out to match up lines, in blah, blah, blah. But you're talking about 2 teams that have found a way to roll all 4 lines. Both of these teams have 19 different goal scorers this playoffs. I mean, how do you peg anybody for an ATG when you have that many people up and down the lineup putting the puck in the net?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of ATGs anyway because they're so hard to hit. Yeah, I know you are, and you're actually pretty good at them. So I'll give you that. Yeah, but you know what? I think it was important for Edmonton and Florida to be able to get to where they're at by having such depth, and they needed depth from all 4 lines, and they got it. Same with even the defensemen. I forget how many points, the defensemen on both sides have accumulated, but it's just an astronomical number. So you got 2 teams that are both very deep, both having good goaltending right now. Bob's numbers aren't spectacular in Edmonton, so we gotta consider that. I personally think he's due for a correction. He's due to give up something more. I was at Game 4 last year when he gave up fucking a snowman on his bingo card, and I think they chased him after 6 or whatever it was, but. I've been at that rink, Burnsy, and that's a tough fucking rink to play in. Like, especially these fans, they're just so thrilled to be back in this spot again. It's very difficult to get to a cup final in back-to-back years. It just doesn't happen often. Now, one interesting thing is it's even more difficult to win in back-to-back years. Okay, so the Tampa Bay Lightning did it in 20 and 21. Then it was 5 years before then that the Penguins did it back to back. And then after that, we're talking 30 years before, back in the 90s with the Red Wings going back to back. So winning back to back cups isn't a common thing. And, take that for what it's worth. Florida's definitely capable of it. But to play the same team the following year, you just got to expect that Edmonton team is going to elevate to another level, especially without Hyman. There's going to be additional minutes for, Connor Brown is back in the lineup now. Are we going to see the depth scoring continue? Are we going to continue seeing these low scoring 2-1 games, just from good goaltending, or are things going to open up a little bit? It's been 6 days that they've played. What should we expect as far as a fan going to watch this game tonight? There's got to be a lot of question marks, right?
Well, speaking of question marks, like everybody in Edmonton was holding their breath when I think it was 2, maybe 3 days ago, McDavid came off the ice in practice, right? Had to go get treatment. And of course, everybody in Canada is losing their fucking minds. What's up with McJesus? What's up with McJesus? Don't worry, guys. The next day he came right out. He looked like McJesus on the ice. I don't know. I mean, you're not going to find out until after the finals are over if he had a broken leg or not. But, I fully expect him to. I don't think that McJesus is the type of guy to have. I expect him to have 2 broken legs and still get out there, and max out at 26 miles an hour, on the ice. We got some guys lighting us up in here in the chat. Randy's liking Draisaitl over 2.5 points. You were talking about Hyman being out of the lineup before. Listen, let's not shortchange this subtraction of Zach Hyman here, right? He led the entire playoffs in hits. He found a scoring touch towards the later rounds. I mean, that could be a big, big subtraction for Edmonton, but we also lean on the 19 different goal scorers. Right? We lean on the depth. And that was my biggest knock to Edmonton coming into the playoffs was, they got top 2 fucking lines. You keep them off the power play. No problem. Skinner's a fucking sib. Everybody's found their way, man. Everybody's found their way. Everyone's finding the back of the net. Who is it was just asking? NYC Born wants to know, what do you guys think of low scoring or high scoring? If I had a coin in my pocket, I think it's a flip. And see which one comes out. What do you think?
I think because of the time off that we're going to be expecting maybe a higher scoring game. Edmonton loves to score at home. There's no secret there. And obviously Florida can put the puck in the net too. And, if Skinner doesn't have a good game, it's probably likely because he gave up 4 or 5, and he's done that before in game 1s where he hasn't been excellent, but he has seemed to have found a stride. And everybody shits on Skinner, but you don't get to the Cup final in back-to-back years without decent goaltending. When he's bad, he's bad. No doubt about it. But when he's good, he's great. Nobody gives him enough credit. Well, because that game he led in 5. Fuck off with that. That's bullshit. You're not going to be A1 every single night, period. That's just the way it is. And some of these goals I don't even blame him for. Just, breakdowns happen and then it's reflected on the goalie stats. So I like to think that there's going to be some goals tonight because it's the game 1. Everyone's walking around with probably a hard on ready to fucking go, right? And there might be a little bit of nerves on both goalies, even though they've both been here before. There might be that just a little bit of unsettledness until things get into the flow of things and, the game kind of takes the shape it's going to take, which, we typically observe from a handicapping spot. We observe game 1s a lot more than, dumping the farm on particular spots, just because we get a lot of information from game 1s. So I'm going to be looking for more information tonight to see on how this plays out. So it's an interesting spot. It's possible. I personally like the over in game 1 because, like I said, Bob's number has been had in Edmonton over the years, and Florida can score too. So, but you know what? If I'll tell you what, we definitely got a couple big bets on tonight's card. So if you're a VIP, you're going to want to get that because we're back in the parlay for tonight. So parlay must cash, or you get the rest of the Stanley Cup Finals for free. So make sure you check that out. There's a question there by Mr. Singh. Yes, there's still space left in CFL for those. Just a side note here. CFL does start tonight. We do handicap it. We had a pretty good season last year. We are going back again. We did set a $50,000 goal for our profit margin, similar to the NHL, where we set a $100,000 goal, which we are up and over that right now. So we're looking for a big CFL season. You can get that early bird package, the whole season and playoffs for $2.99 in the Telegram. I'm sure it'll be in the link somewhere on this. But head on over to the Telegram, hit me up on Instagram if you have more CFL questions. Anyways, I think the most exciting part is to see what McDavid is going to do. Like, is this where he goes off for 3-4 points a night and just takes control of the game? Or similar to last year, I kind of thought he disappeared a little bit for a few games in the Stanley Cup Finals, where he wasn't as noticeable. And, full credit to the Florida Panthers for managing him. But he knows he needs to be better, whatever that means. But
how could you get
is this where he's just going to put the team on his back and do what he needs to do to win? You want to talk about a guy that doesn't like to fucking lose? Well, that's the guy. Not that anybody likes to lose, but you could see his emotion, right? And
listen, you saw it in the finals, last year, with that Amazon, behind the scenes, documentary, right? Where, the door gets slammed shut of the locker room and you can hear him losing his fucking mind on everybody, like, we're playing like this. This is the fucking finals, So I don't think that he's going to need that rah speech. Obviously, he's fully capable of doing it, but I think early in this series, as it shapes out, and like people try to figure out, systems and matchups and this and that, I don't think McDavid gives a fuck at all. I think McDavid knows what he needs to do, and he's going to come out and he's going to do what he needs to do. In the chat, we got Kiddis Meningitis. What kind of fucking name is that? He's in game one. Is the Panthers money line, McDavid ATG. Not a bad look, man. I mean, like, listen, like you said, I joked around with you before, when we were on the phone with each other, like, McDavid can get 4 points a night. He can finish this series and Edmonton can sweep, with 16 points. It's fully fucking capable, right? But it's not just the McJesus show, right? It's not like the Panthers are fucking slouches, and me personally, I've kind of dogged the Panthers, walking into almost every series this year. I didn't think that they were going to have I thought they were going to be a first round exit. The same thing for the Oilers too, right? So it shows how much I fucking know. I thought it was Tampa's turn. Tampa was going to take it to them. Nope. Especially when the Oilers were down 2-0 to the Kings. They're done. Get them out of here.
I think a lot of that comes down to just how difficult it is to repeat success. And a lot of people had the Cats written off because of that. Not even, they can't do it again. It's too hard to do it again. That's kind of the mindset. And you're right. It is really fucking hard to do it again. And yet they found a way to do it. So
and here we are.
And here we are. 12 months ago, we were in the same boat talking about the same thing. So, you got to tip your cap to even Carolina and Dallas because, you lost. But look who you lost to. Everyone's kind of shitting on Dallas right now, and how that all played out with DeBoer and whatnot. I actually read an article that he got fired. I don't know if that was true or not.
No, I think that was fake news.
Yeah, I figured, but it's like, guys, you made it to the Final Four. Like, you don't see, in March Madness, you make to the Final Four that the coaches are getting fired and everybody's getting traded because you lost in the Final Four, right? So,
well, when you make it to the Western Conference Finals, I think it was 3-4 years in a row, and can't get over the hump. I mean, you can't get rid of all the players, right? And we saw it happen in New York, the other day, right? To make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and what did the Knicks do? Changing head coaches, So I mean, it's a very fickle business, man. Like, yeah, and listen, I sat there and was like, how are you gonna fucking fire this guy? And Tom Thibodeau, after bringing the team to the fucking Eastern Conference Finals.
So I have an answer for that. And I believe this. Some coaches are designed to build a team and other coaches are designed to take over a built team. And I think that, I don't really follow the NBA, but I know in the NHL, like we were talking about Rod Brindamore and whether or not he was going to get shit canned. And they were, talking on the radio about, well, that might be the case. Did he lose his players' respect? Not the respect. Maybe not respect is not the best word, but did they buy in as much as they should have? Like, he did a really good job with how their off season went, losing some key players to get back to the conference finals. And I didn't have Carolina going that deep. I at the start of the season, everybody had them maybe not even making the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think they're going to make the playoffs.
100%. So is this one of those spots for like Carolina, for example? I know this is off topic, but it's an interesting discussion because we run into this where we see good coaches get fired even after good team success. Like go talk to the fucking Calgary Flames or the Anaheim Ducks and see what nut they wouldn't give to be in a conference final, and now they're cleaning house because of a conference final loss again. So it's one of those things where do you have a coach that can build the team and develop the players? Or is this a coach that can bring you a championship like Paul Maurice? You look at him and you look at Rod, and they're two very different coaches. And, obviously Paul has got it figured out, but look how long it took him to figure it out.
Yeah,
right?
He made a lot of stops along the way, man.
And years of coaching and being involved in the game to get there. So, it's an interesting spot. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Paul Maurice is, he might be the best coach in the NHL over the last several years. But I don't know. It's an interesting spot. I think the Edmonton's defense is better. I think that Skinner's playing better than he did last year too. It's a more mature team. You got a lot more going for you. And it almost feels like the pressure is more on Florida, in my opinion, because you got there again. You've done it before. You almost have to do it again. So at the same time as, Edmonton did get to the dance. They obviously came up short, but I feel like all the pressure is really getting put on Florida again to repeat.
So, yeah, and I assume you can still hear me, man. I'm just having a little bit of camera issues. I mean, you talk about head coaches, right? And you look at a guy like Rod Brind'Amour, and then you look at a guy like Paul Maurice, right? I mean, and this guy straight up comes out and says, I don't even need to work the bench, when I'm out there. There we go. I don't even need to work the bench. I get a room full of veterans, and these guys know what the fucking job is. They know who's up next, and they just get out there and get after it. So listen, and that's a big factor to me, with saying like, yeah, of course, like it's hard to repeat, and then especially against the same guys that you just, beat the year prior. When you got a guy like Paul Maurice behind the bench, I mean, who are you going to take on your team? You're going to take Maurice or you're going to take Knobloch? So like there's a lot of different factors, and this is not just a fucking slam dunk, lay him down, series here. I mean, I could see a sweep going both ways, right? And I know everyone's talking about going 7, but I kind of feel like that may be like a little bit of the lazy pick, because like, they're just two equally matched teams. Of course they're going to go 7, right? Oilers may win game 1, Panthers going to win game 2. Going back to Florida, Panthers win game 3. Oh, Oilers take game 4, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I just know that we're in for a treat as far as the hockey goes.
I mean, it's possible that the exchange wins. It could come down to who gets the right bounces. Like that's how tight these teams are.
That's what hockey is, right?
That's what a big part of hockey is, especially when you're this deep into the game, which makes my life fucking difficult because I need to find an edge somewhere that I can lay the money on and give that opinion to all my followers and in the VIP. And I obviously have a responsibility to them to come out with winners night in and night out, but it's a tough thing to handicap. So we're going to definitely examine and really break down game 1. I have my own opinion. And if you want to know what that is, you can get that VIP card, but it's going to be an interesting spot because there's so many factors that are playing in a role. And then on the flip side, you could always say the opposite of those factors. They're going to be jet lagged. Next thing you know, they come out and Florida wins 4-1 tonight. Man, this is how do they do that? How do they come in on the road after being off for a week and not having even a fucking organized practice and come into Rogers Place and win? Like, that's an anomaly to me. That's a difficult thing to do. So it's going to be tough because, again, the Florida Panthers went out and got some key pieces at the deadline, with Marchand and Seth Jones. And those were the pieces that they were missing. You gotta tip your cap to Bill Zito, who's going to win GM of the year, and he fucking deserves it. He picked up Marchand, and Boston's paying for half of his salary. You fucking losers! My God, what a terrible fucking trade. Anyways,
all right, brother. Let's get the best bets. What are we looking at tonight? What can we sink our teeth into?
Well, to me, this is going to be an auto bet every night because there's some players you want to have on your team to get you to the postseason. But then there's other players that you want to have on your team during the postseason. And there's a couple guys that come to mind. You look at Toronto, right? Mitchie Marner and the boys, they're all cute and cuddly during the regular season, and then playoffs show up and they're nowhere to be found, right? But then you look at, guys like Sam Bennett and Carter Verhaeghe. Like, Carter Verhaeghe's had 4 game-winning goals.
This guy came out of the womb ready for playoffs.
Some guys are just built for it. And there's not just those two. There's several are them in this Florida team. But I remember last year we got on the Carter Verhaeghe and Evan Rodriguez train early in the postseason. And it was just money because those guys just produced, quietly, point per night, 2 points a night, every single night. So if you're looking to get a little bit of a better value, then obviously, going with, McDavid over a point at minus fucking 300, you got to look at the secondary scoring. And I think my best bet tonight is going to be Carter Verhaeghe over half a point. It's a minus 125, which is a great price for a guy that puts out so much. What does he make? Like $6-7 million a year? Like it's not a lot for what he does. And it's funny because the NHL Network is still talking about, not McDavid, Marner, and how he's going to get $13-14 million. Like, fuck, I would take Sam Bennett at $7 million. Or $8 million and give him term to have him when it fucking matters the most. Never mind.
Well, that's exactly what the Devils are going to do in the offseason when they pick him up. Yep, you watch.
He probably won't even bring his rings. He'll just leave them in Florida because he doesn't want to.
He's going to run out of fingers for all the ones that he wins in New Jersey. That's why.
Oh my God, it's never going to happen. But you know what? I love Carter Verhaeghe. I love his persona. I love the way he plays. He's always so happy on the ice. You ever watch him on the bench or listen to the hot mic? He's just ecstatic to be a part of the game.
All right, so there's our best bet. We're looking at Carter Verhaeghe over a half a point. Now let's get to the fun stuff. All right, real quick, let's answer Jamal here, right? So Jamal's asking, Les Burns, gun against the head. Who do you think is going to win this cup? Forget about tonight. He doesn't give a fuck about tonight. He wants a future. How do you see this series ending? Wearing the shirt for a reason, guys.
The Oil is getting it done in 6.
This 6.
between 4 and 7. No, I just think that revenge spot is just too much, and I think these guys remember that pain, and I don't know what therapists are going to have to go see if they lose again.
Like, it's going to be well paid, I'll tell you that much.
Well, fuck, I guess so. But you know what? And maybe because I'm Canadian too, I have to root for the homeland. We only got fucking six teams in the NHL anyway, so all of Canada is really backing the Oilers here, except for maybe the stupid Leaf fans that are still sobbing about Mitchie. But
well, it's been what? It's been since '93, since the Cup's been back up in the 51st state, something like that.
Yeah, and Quebec with the Montreal Canadiens. So we're due. We're due. It'd be great for Canada. It'd be great for the sport to see that. And I used to play against Darnell Nurse back in the day, and just to know, like, I used to play against that guy. No, I'm watching him win a cup. Like that'd be kind of cool, He was a dickhead then, and he's a dickhead now.
Yeah, Jamal, Florida is 100% a hockey state. Walking around down South Florida, I see Panther shirts all over the place, and I'm not even just saying because they're in the finals now. You go to that building for a home game, and I'm going to be trying to get one under my belt with me and my boy. But it's such a fucking raucous town, man. Like they're all about, obviously success helps, right? So, he likes the Oilers. I got to go with my home team. Panthers taking it in 6. Lock it in. The Cup stays in America 1 year again. All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's put together a little DGen pizza money parlay here. So we typically put 4 legs together, and we see if we can come out on the winning side. I think our boy Randy, somewhere in the chat, was leading towards my first pick, so I'll kick it off. I'm going with Sergei Bobrovsky over 24.5 saves. Listen, the Oilers have won 12 of their last 14 games, right? And they're averaging 4.14 goals against. They're also averaging 31.6 shots per game. And I know that the Panthers came out and stifled, just a shot happy, Carolina team. But if you try and measure up against, Edmonton compared to Carolina, if Carolina somehow got past the Cats in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think this is a big time, Oil sweep here. So I think Bob's going to be settled in. I think he's going to be ready. They're super, super relaxed, super rested. Like we talked about, they didn't practice much over the layover. I think Bob's going to be dialed in. He got his walks on the beach in when he was down here in South Florida. So first leg of the parlay, I'm taking Bobrovsky over 24.5 saves. What say you, sir?
I like it. I just worry that he's going to get lit tonight. He's going to have 21 shots on goal, and he's only going to have 14 saves. But that's the home we're talking. No, I do like it. Edmonton does a good job of getting pucks on net, especially at home. So it's a tough spot because there's so many things that I like. And again, it comes down to this all the time. But you know what? Evan Bouchard went pointless his last 2 games. I think he gets on the score sheet tonight. It's not very often that he'll go 3 or more games without getting a point. So, and they're going to really need him going.
How could you not?
Yeah, but he's not getting shots on net though. Like he's only averaging 1 to 2 shots a game over the last 6-7 games. We've actually taken the under on him 3 times now, and we've cashed it all 3 times because either they're really, checking him because he's the guy. When he's on the ice, you got to be aware. And at some points he was getting 6-7 shots a game, and that kind of has just fallen off the map a little bit. So I'm kind of wary on the shots on goal for him because last year I don't think anybody really knew who he was.
Yeah.
Like, who's this Evan Bouchard guy getting all these fucking points? Why is it happening? But now this year, everybody knows who he is. So they might be playing him a little tighter. They might be, checking him and finishing every check on him and stuff like that. So you kind of got to watch that. But either way, I think he gets on the score sheet for my first leg of tonight.
All right. So we're looking at Evan Bouchard over 0.5 point for leg number 2. Leg number 3, I'm staying in Florida. I'm taking Matty Tkachuk over 0.5 an assist. Tkachuk has had an assist in 8 of the last 12 games, against the Leafs, against the Canes. I wouldn't be surprised if he could pot one here, but he is a passer, man. He gets into those dirty areas, he mucks his way through. Puck always pops out, and he usually finds Sammy Bennett, who's got 10 goals this year, 10 goals this postseason. But my second leg, I'm going with Matty Tkachuk over 0.5 an assist here. Finish us off, doggy. I'm pulling it out of you.
I think we got to go back to McDavid and the under shots. It's at 3.5 right now, and
3.5, yeah.
I just feel like it's too many, because if Florida plays their game and they do a great job of limiting chances, I think over the course of the postseason, they've only averaged giving up like 24 shots a game. So you're basically saying that, McDavid's going to be, 4 or 5 out of the 20 to 24 shots. So that's what, 25% of the shots, 25% of the shots are all coming off of one guy's stick that is the best player in the world, that you're going to have to check him every time he fucking breathes. You can't let that guy open up. So we're gonna go with that, and this is going to be an interesting spot to see what kind of response he has, because I thought last year he got plugged up a lot by the Panthers. They managed him very well. So we're gonna roll with McDavid under 3.5 shots on goal as the final.
So there we have it. We got Big Bob over 24.5 saves, Matty Tkachuk over 0.5 an assist, Evan Bouchard finding the point sheet over 0.5 point. And then we got Connor McJesus under 3.5 shots on goal. Little DGen pizza money parlay for you guys. All right, guys. Hope you enjoy. I'll leave that up there for another minute. I hope you guys enjoyed everything today. Thank you for sending that over. That'll do it for game 1. Puck drop tonight, 8:00. TNT, set a reminder. This one's going to be fucking awesome, man. I can't wait. I already told the wife, I got to stay at work late. Right. So yeah, we're in for one here.
Work.
It is work, right? When I'm sitting at Hooters, that's a write-off right there.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back here, not tomorrow. We'll be back for game 2. What's that? Friday then, right? What's today's date? What's today's date? I don't even know where the fuck today is. All right, guys, game 1. Enjoy the hell out of it. Make sure you guys get over to, no, I still got one more Hooters around here. You read this wrong. You figured that out wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Make sure you guys get over to Ylose.com. That's a letter Y, LOSE.com. Make sure, if you're not already a member in Les's VIP, he's got a guarantee on the bacon parlay tonight. Twin Peaks gang. Not bad, brother. Got a parlay backing tonight. $49 for the day pass. Parlay must hit, where you get the rest of the finals for free. Any closing word for the guys?
You did it. You nailed it. But if you're also interested in more bets that we got going on, KBO baseball's rocking and rolling. CFL starts tonight. Lots going on in the NHL Ylose channel. So pick up your package. I know CFL is not quite as flashy as the NFL, but whatever. It's still football. There's money to be made. And I don't know about you, but I don't give a fuck what we're betting on. If we can make money, I'm in.
Fucking A, doggy. All right, guys. We'll catch you back next time. Enjoy the puck tonight. And we'll see you soon.
Cut my life into pieces. says, this is my last resort.